Hello, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here, and this is my second time in the city of Sofia, Bulgaria. The first time was 1991, quite some time ago, and my first son was 1 year old. Then now I'm here with a new baby who's 1 year old, and human babies are about the same as they were 28 years ago, but just looking around this city, I can see amazing technological advance from the last 30 years, and the next 30 years is going to be an even larger amount of advance than what we've seen in the last 30. And the last talk was really quite apropos in terms of setting the stage for what I'm going to talk about now. I mean, my SingularityNET project that I'll tell you about did an ICO in 2017, and we've been building software since then. We launched our beta just February of this year, and now we're looking now at the task of how do you actually use this decentralized AI infrastructure to work toward beneficial general intelligence and get the adoption from AI developers and users that you need to do that, well, in a world where centralized forces led by large corporations and governments are pushing very hard to develop AI on their own. So we're really wrestling with many of the issues that were discussed in the preceding panel, but in the specific domain of AI, both applied AI and the quest to build general intelligence. So I'm going to talk about decentralized AI and why this is important, both for delivering better and better practical AI applications and for the quest to move from where we are today toward more and more advanced forms of artificial intelligence. So we're seeing tremendous advances in artificial intelligence in the last few years. Certainly, I got my PhD in math in the late 1980s, but I was working on AI even before that as a graduate student. But back then, AI was something done by a handful of mavericks in some university labs and a few handful of corporate labs. Now AI has become big business. AI is on the tip of the tongue of every CEO and most national leaders. But what we're seeing now is just the beginning. We're in the middle of what I would call the narrow AI revolution. And I think we have two more revolutions coming. The AGI revolution, not coincidentally, the title of a book I published in 2014, which you can look up, the AGI revolution, Artificial General Intelligence, AI that can generalize, learn, and reason more like people. But then beyond that, what I'm thinking of as artificial superintelligence. AIs that can generalize, learn, and reason like people are important. But in the end, just as humans are not the fastest runners or the highest jumpers, we're not the smartest thinkers possible according to physical law. AIs are going to go far beyond human beings. And our AGIs, once they learn to reprogram and improve themselves, will quickly give rise to superintelligence. And this is going to be amazing to see. And the most amazing thing is we may actually see it within our own lifetimes. And it may be that this doesn't come from any one AI system that just one guy builds, although it might. It may be that it comes from many different AIs, perhaps made by many different people in this room or at this conference, connecting together and cooperating. It may be that what we're doing is building a sort of global brain of multiple human and artificial intelligences connecting together, that the global brain we're constructing now will be the sort of primordial soup out of which artificial general intelligence and superintelligence, in a sense, emerges, keeping in mind that this emergence, incorporates the purposeful activity of a huge number of AI developers and other people doing associated technology development. There's a lot of social issues that come up here. I mean, the Terminator always comes up. It was just mentioned a few minutes before I got on stage. Of course, none of us wants superhuman AI to annihilate all humanity, even if that does result in some superior form of mind flourishing. And in the shorter term, there's a mixture of alarm and excitement at the prospect of AIs eliminating the need for people to work for a living. I mean, if I have 3 kids in their 20s. All of them are pretty psyched about AI eliminating the need for them to get a job and figure out what they're going to have to do with themselves. But on the other hand, depending on how society adapts, this could also be a bad thing, right? I mean, AI is being able to do all the repetitive tasks and create all the material goods and services that we want could be great if society is organized in such a way that this potential is used for broad benefit. On the other hand, if it comes out like 10,000 rich people owning the robot factories that make luxury goods for themselves and everyone else is rummaging around in the garbage around the robot factories, then this may be less beneficial, right? So there are major social issues to do with, how do we manage the advent of general intelligence. And these are not exactly on the tip of the tongue of most national leaders and politicians today in their full form, but you do see rising alarm, concern, and interest in the potential of automation. And it's interesting to see these issues that some of us have been thinking about forever finally start to hit the popular mind. So yeah, then playing into this is the structure of the AI industry. I mean, right now, a substantial percentage of AI graduates from university, a substantial amount of data to feed AIs and processing power doing AI crunching is owned by maybe a dozen corporations and 2 major governments. So this may not be the ideal situation. I mean, it's not that these are malevolent entities, they're just very particular entities with very, very specific goals. And it may not be the way that humanity should be, marshaling its AI resources as we move toward AGI and artificial superintelligence. We have to ask ourselves, I mean, if now the most important thing we're doing on this planet is creating the next generation of intelligent systems, if the baby supermind is going to emerge from the AI that we're building on Earth right now today, what kind of baby supermind are we creating, right? Is it one that will give us the most beneficial transition to a post-singularity situation, or is it something else? I mean, do we want the baby supermind to be primarily concerned with advertising, spying, military, and banking, or is maybe there's something else that should be on the mind of the baby supermind as it evolves? You can even tie in these general concepts with the AI algorithms that are prevalent. If you look in the world of AI today, in the last few years, there's been amazing progress in deep machine learning. It's really cool to see, but most of what's being done is applying neural networks to recognize, large numbers of shallow patterns in huge data sets. I mean, there's not a lot of creativity. There's not a lot of really broad generalization. It's a matter of feed a lot of data in, recognize a whole lot of little patterns in this data, and use that to make judgments. This is really interesting. It's one thing that the human mind does, but it's far from the only thing that the human mind does. And the obsessive focus on this particular kind of AI may or may not ultimately be a good thing. The reinforcement learning and supervised learning that currently fashionable AI algorithms are doing, it's sort of like what we do, unconsciously when we're just instinctively recognizing patterns in a bunch of experience and reacting on it. It's not like what we do when we're reflecting and deliberating and trying to understand things in a broader context. I mean, if you take athletics as an example, what current deep reinforcement learning is doing is it's like what you do when you learn to play tennis just by repeating over and over until you kind of tune and get it. It's not what you do if you have a coach and watch videos of yourself and think about what you're doing wrong and really try to understand how to improve yourself. There's not reflection and contextual understanding in the deep neural net algorithms that are out there now. It's just recognize patterns and go. And that's because just gathering a lot of data and recognizing patterns in that data in an opportunistic fashion is the easiest way for companies to make money and for nations to use AI for defense and or offense. So I think what we're seeing in the application of AI to maximize the bottom lines of a few corporations and to maximize the defense and offense goals of a few governments, what you're seeing is a trend towards sort of quick win types of AI that try to exploit the data these entities have gathered as rapidly as possible, as opposed to AI that really tries to understand things in the broadest context and understand who it is and why it is and reflect on what it's doing. And this is one sense in which having the baby supermind that we're now creating, primarily oriented toward maximizing shareholder value or maximizing, national dominance as rapidly as possible, this may actually push toward a biased cognitive architecture that's biased toward those kinds of thinking that just rapidly achieve short-term gain, rather than towards those kinds of thinking that achieve more long-term benefit. So that there's a lot more subtlety than I can go into here to the relation between, the goals and the temporal constraints of the entities creating the AI and the actual choices you make about what AI algorithms to prioritize and what kind of learning they do. Just like a banker or a general wind up thinking in a very different way than someone working on science or social work or something. What we're doing now is building bankers, generals, and advertising men that are AIs that are going to give rise to the singularity. I mean, is that the kind of mind we want to be creating? So this is all sort of the background with which we founded the SingularityNET project, which is a decentralized blockchain-based platform for AI, which I'll now review quite briefly, and you can find out more at SingularityNET.io. So SingularityNET is a decentralized network for AIs where the blockchain is used not to manage fine-grained AI operations, which would be infeasible and not scalable, but the blockchain is used to manage the overall coordination and governance of a set of different AI agents, so that each AI does whatever it does on whatever processors it has, but the community of all the AIs, as they cooperate together to solve problems, uses blockchain to regulate reputation and payment and to regulate who is in the AI network and can help answer queries and collaborate to solve problems. So it's decentralized using blockchain so in a similar manner to how Ethereum and Bitcoin are decentralized compared to centralized fiat currency, or BitTorrent is decentralized compared to iTunes or something. So AI should be decentralized in this sort of way, and this requires a whole decentralized ecosystem. I mean, much as, say, Linux requires a whole open source ecosystem parallel to and doing everything the proprietary ecosystems of Microsoft and Apple do to make a decentralized AI ecosystem. I mean, you need AI developers, you need AI users, you need corporate customers, you need application developers, you need a whole community to emerge around this incipient decentralized AI framework, which is a big thing and not something that any one company or project can do. So much as was being discussed in the previous panel, having built technology, and we've launched the beta version of SingularityNET, you can see live on the website, SingularityNET.io, having built some usable, scalable technology for a community of AIs, a society of minds to cooperate on the blockchain and help solve both practical problems and research problems. Now, there's the small problem of getting adoption, right, which is hard. I mean, we're undertaking it, but you need to get AI developers to put a little bit of effort into putting their AIs on this decentralized network. You need to get corporate users and entrepreneurial users to access this weird, new, exciting, decentralized blockchain network for their practical AI needs instead of accessing the APIs of major companies. So building adoption is hard, but certainly extremely critical. And regarding the issue of different AI algorithms and they're embodying different cognitive architectures that I mentioned earlier, we're putting a bunch of deep neural nets for vision and audition and data processing into SingularityNET platform. They're already there in the beta. We're also using our OpenCog architecture, which you can find out about at opencog.org, which is a cognitive architecture aimed at, reflective, deliberative, reasoning-based general intelligence. So we put that into the SingularityNET in various ways. We put deep neural nets in there, and the idea is that developers around the world figure out how to connect these different AI algorithms together to serve different applications. And out of that, research toward general intelligence, as well as applied work building practical AI systems, proceeds, but in this whole decentralized blockchain-based framework, which is owned by everyone and no one. And now I'm going to quickly just flip through a few of the applications that have been built to use this decentralized AI platform, as well as some of the things we're now building, with just a very brief few words on each one. But I want to emphasize we're just at the beginning. Like, if we're going to make this work, we need a bunch more developers to build on these things, to contribute to these things, and to build other even better things using this decentralized AI framework instead of using the slick, but in some ways, politically, futuristically, and practically toxic AI frameworks being created by large corporations. So the Sophia robot, who spoke here at Webit last year, I think. So I led the software team for a number of years developing the AI behind Sophia. And we're using SingularityNET behind Sophia for certain applications, such as using Sophia as a meditation assistant to help people get into alternate states of consciousness using OpenCog and SingularityNET architecture, which has been quite an interesting adventure. We're building AI virtual assistants that use SingularityNET agents on the back end and use OpenCog AI to try to actually understand the context of what's going on. We're using OpenCog AI embedded in SingularityNET for life extension biology to understand why some people live to 105 years or over, so-called supercentenarians, and others don't, because I'm hoping we create the singularity in the next 5 or 10 years. But if it drags on a little bit, I'm 52 years old. I'd like to use the AI to make some longevity pills to make sure I live to see the superintelligence roam the earth. And we're working on a social network called Rejuve, which uses the basis of SingularityNET to allow people to contribute their biology data to the quest to use SingularityNET-based AI to promote longevity. You can look at rejuve.io for information on that. Okay, yeah. Struggling with clicking technology here. All right, yeah, so we have a project that was on the previous slide called Singularity Studio, which applies the SingularityNET AI to enterprise AI problems. So if anyone has a large enterprise in need of AI solutions, you can contact me or my colleagues. And the Singularity Studio, which is a for-profit spin-off of the SingularityNET project, is devoted to producing enterprise AI solutions, meaning the AI needs of large corporations, and leveraging to the decentralized network on the back end. I mean, much as Linux was largely driven forward by IBM, Intel, now Microsoft, many large corporations. Similarly, this decentralized AI network can help big companies do what they need to do and can leverage their internal expertise. So this is a Singularity Studio bringing SingularityNET decentralized AI to large enterprises, and we're interested to talk to anyone with large enterprise AI needs about this. Dyad Decentralized AI Alliance, finally, we're bringing together SingularityNET and 50 other decentralized AI projects. So we view that as a network of networks. We have many decentralized AI networks. They can connect together in a decentralized way, and this is how we build the beneficial global brain. So I apologize. I'm a minute or so over time. I'll have to wrap up, but I just want to reiterate. I think we're at an extremely critical point in the history of humanity. I mean, we're on the verge within years to decades of creating AIs that are more intelligent than we are. First AGI, then artificial superintelligence. And, we collectively decide what this supermind is going to be like. Is it going to be concerned with spying, selling, killing, and swindling people? Or is it going to be concerned with teaching and helping people and full of compassion and creativity? We decide that. It's the AIs that we create and roll out now that will play a role in guiding this. And this is one key reason why a decentralized and democratic infrastructure for AI is so very important. So you can find more at SingularityNET.io, and I'm looking forward to everyone's participation in bringing about a positive singularity. Thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much. Really, really good.